We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
And welcome back to another episode of the Golden Bearcast. This is a spin-off episode. We're not really going to talk about Cal that much in this one. Andy is not here, but a different Andy is here with me today. Andy from the Light Years podcast, of course, a part of the Blue Wire fam, just like us. Andy, we finally did it. This is happening. We're doing this, man.
Good, dude. It feels great. By the way, how do I sound? Do I sound good? Do I sound great?
Oop, I think you muted yourself.
Hello.
Oh, there we go.
What a start. What a start. Here's the thing. You would think as an Asian person I would understand how technology works. But no, not that type. Issues with podcasting and technology every week. No, man, great to be on the podcast. I'm excited. Did not go to Cal, but not smart enough. Not smart enough to go to Cal. Went to I went to UCSD. Don't even know what UCSD's mascot is. Was a Triton. I was a Triton. So
right.
Good. Those were good times. But no, I'm happy to talk about everything that we're gonna do here in the next hour or so.
Yeah, dude, this is gonna be fun. But of course, if you didn't know, this is the Golden Bearcast, part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network, and this is a Blue Wire Podcast Network crossover event where we got the Light Years, we got the Bay Area podcasts here. All we need is a Niners and an Oakland A's one, and we pretty much got everything covered, right?
SF Giants fan over here for me. That's the problem. Not an Oakland A's guy. Although the Giants are about to be the Oakland A's, but with more money in a few years because they've got Farhan who's running the show. So I'm excited. I'm damn near more excited for the Giants than I am for the Warriors and the Niners coming up, honestly, because they seem to have the best future, at least for the next 5-10 years.
I mean, living in the Bay Area, you can't not talk about Bay Area sports, right? It's like it's bound to happen. I was born in LA. I grew up in LA, so I'm like an LA fan across the board. Not a Dodgers fan though. I'm an Angels fan. That's the games I grew up watching. Ooh. It's rough. It's a rough time, but we still have a World Series win in the millennium, so I'll take that. Yeah. But otherwise, I think the first thing I kind of wanted to talk, because we have a ton of things that we want to talk about just between you and I, but for the people that are listening that may not have heard about you and so on, like where does you do the Light Years podcast, Warriors basketball. Like where does your basketball history or like fandom really start, as you're from the Bay Area?
Yeah. So I grew up in San Francisco, born and raised here. Parents from Hong Kong and in a random village in China, in Toisan. But no, I started when I was young as a Warriors fan. I was kind of stuck with that team. They were terrible. So I hated the Lakers, right? Like I hated Kobe. I hated Tim Duncan a lot growing up just because I was like, oh, like this guy's so boring to watch.
I think everyone hated the Spurs growing up. As a kid, you're like, that's just boring basketball. It's not fun to watch.
Terrible. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like if the Spurs if you put that team in today's age, I might like them. Like I might. Yeah. Just because I think Tim Duncan's awesome nowadays. But no, that's how I started becoming a Warriors fan. Went to a lot of the games at Oracle as a kid. I would say like maybe around high school, and then I went to college here in the city before going to to San Diego, and I would usually buy the tickets for like $10, $15.
Yeah.
10 minutes, no, let's say 30 minutes before the game starts, right? So it's like it starts 7:30, right? So it's like 6:55. We would get a ticket, hop on BART, and get over to the game. And we would have like upper level tickets for like $10, $15. And then by the time the third quarter came around, you'd be able to sneak down to lower level. Like that's what we did. Like the good days. And in college, I didn't know what to do with my life. So I really started watching too much basketball. Like Jeremy Lin. I would watch you could watching the Warriors, but I started watching like the whole league, like every single day. That was Linsanity. And I picked up covering the team, and I started covering the team in the year before Steve Kerr joined. So sometime in, I think, 2014, I began like actually covering him as a media reporter, blogger. And I've been doing it since. I've been writing and doing that. I quit writing just because I'm lazy now, so I just stick to podcasting because it's easy to just talk all day. Yeah. But no, man, it's been good to monitor them through the rise. That's really where Lightyear's podcast came from.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a perfect name for the stage of the podcast and the team right now. But I think that's it's one of those things where it's like it just lines up perfectly, right? Like you talk about the Linsanity years, and like I think for me that was my rediscovering of the NBA too, because League Pass, right? Like what a crazy like awesome thing that the NBA did with League Pass that just gave us access to any other team that you wanted to watch that wasn't in your specific neighborhood.
Yep.
So, yeah, and I remember going to those Warriors games. Like I remember going to watch Kyrie when he first got to the league at the Warriors. I was 4 rows up from the baseline on the Warriors bench, and it was $40. Like just ridiculous prices, even for like a college student. You're like, oh wow, that's a steal.
Yeah, I think I think a lot of the complaints about Oracle have been, some of it I really think is tough because that team got so good and they got so good quickly, and I can't blame the crowd. Like I don't really blame the crowd for what it was, because you don't get the same fans when tickets go from $20 to $250. Like you're not going to get the same fans, and a lot of the fans that get those tickets get them for free. So they're not even paying for those things, so they don't really have a vested interest of going there and rooting for the team outside of just the novelty of going to a basketball game. So I don't like that's not how I would generalize Warriors fans, and I think that was kind of a tough part for them. That's how life goes, like the team gets good, they get expensive. People can't afford expensive things. It's how the United States works. Like it was tough, but there have been some good moments in that place. And I think with Chase Center, there's going to be some good moments in that place too, as soon as we can get that place to open up someday.
Have you been to Chase Center? Have you watched the game at Chase Center?
Yeah, I've been a couple times. I like here's what I think. It's an airport.
Yeah,
like, that's what Chase Center is.
Yeah.
It's a massive airport. It's beautiful. It's big. Like it's just big inside. The Jumbotron is massive.
Yep.
Everything's beautiful. The food is great. The alcohol is great. It's just a big place. The thing is, the team sucked when it opened, and so nobody cared about the games. And then COVID hit. But that place is gonna explode. That area, they've built it in a pretty good area too. Mm-hmm. They'll put some bars around that place. They'll build kind of like a culture around that area, which should be fun. But no, I'm excited for it to come back. It's a good spot. They just kind of need the team to be good. That's where they need Steph to kind of carry them, because it doesn't seem like the rest of the org is. But it's a good stadium, good arena.
Yeah, I mean it's a great area. I mean I think the best thing for them is to kind of emulate now Oracle Park, right? What they did around that area with all the bars and just what you're used to. Like I remember just during the World Series, we'd go out there. We didn't go to any of the games, but we were there at the bars, and just like the entire 4 or 5 block radius from the stadium is it's rocking.
Right.
And that's kind of what they want to go for, which in San Francisco with the views and everything, I mean, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, let's move away from the Warriors a bit. Let's talk about, I don't know how much you know about Bay Area hoops beyond the Warriors, but I guess the question I wanted to ask you was, how the G League just made that Ignite team out in Walnut Creek, arguably the most hyped G League team, I'd say, since its creation. And no one is able to go watch that team despite all the talent that's there. But like, what do you think is the draw with just hoops in the Bay Area and them trying to expand it out here? Like, because I never would have suspected them to put that team here in the Bay Area. Like, well, especially out in Walnut Creek too.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta say, I can probably count the amount of times that on one hand that I've been to Walnut Creek. Not my type of vibe or place to be at. Though I do hear there's a big Middle Eastern population, so good for them out there. I found it interesting. I think what Joe Lacob and the Warriors are what they're really trying to do is they're trying to create like this kind of hub for basketball in the Bay Area. And I think that the G League Ignite is part of it. Now, and the Santa Cruz Warriors, they're always fun, right? They just lost tonight in the semifinals, but they've been good, they've been bad, but they're a fun place. People in Santa Cruz watch those games, so it's pretty sweet. It's not like it's a dead kind of. It's not like it's just a team. Like the thing about the Warriors, they don't, and maybe some of it is not great. Is they want to build something that can make money. And I think that whatever it is, they'll do it. Like, I think the Raptors, who are really good, sometimes they build some of these things, like the Raptors team, to kind of develop players. Like, that's their number one goal. I'm sure that the Warriors' number one goal is doing that too, but I also feel like a lot of the times they just want to do it because they know they're going to make a lot of money doing it. And you can kind of see that with the Chase Center. With the Ignite team, I don't know what they're going to do moving forward. I don't think they know what they're going to do. But that's a lot of talent. Like Jalen Green and Jonathan Kuminga are the two of the top 5 picks. They'll go in the top 5, both of them. I just don't know where. Like from 2 to 5, it's any of those guys, right? Kate Cunningham going at 1. And Deshaun Nix is going to be a lottery, like late lottery guy, lottery, top 20 kind of guy. And so a lot of talent there. I don't know, moving forward how much what that means, right? I think with some of these young guys, they go to college because they have the college atmosphere. You don't get a college atmosphere in Walnut Creek. You
don't get the guy on campus feel, right? Yeah. You don't get that in Walnut Creek as a
If you're
G League
18
team.
years old, do you want to be in Walnut Creek? Like, I don't think Jalen Green wants to be there, but like from the perspective of development, it's probably way better to be at G League Unite than to be at Duke. Quite frankly, so
yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, when they said they were going to create out in Walnut Creek, I was like, who's going to even go and watch these guys play? I mean, scouts will be there and all that, right? But like, I guess people will go out there because if you bring in those big names, but that's also like a very specific group of basketball watchers. Like, you need to be heavily invested in draft stuff and prospects to make yourself like willing to go out there to watch those games. Like, I would have gone out, but I don't know if the average Warriors fan would have gone out there to see if the Minnesota pick ends up being one of these guys that is playing right there. Right.
No, no, who knows? Walnut Creek is like, I don't know. It's a it's an odd spot, but I think there is a lot of Warriors fans though. Like, I think that's another thing. Like, I don't think people understand the breadth, the amount of Warriors fans that there are. Like, I didn't just look at Steph's numbers in terms of like who cares about him and what like the engagement that he drives. I mean, Warriors fans. I think like you can see that kind of. I'm looking at my podcast. It's not like we're great fucking podcasters, but just people love the Warriors. Like, there's nothing that gets people more frenzied than really the Warriors, and especially Steph Curry, right? And I think the same thing goes for LA, right? Those Lakers teams. The Lakers have built up decades of just being successful, and I think that they have a rabid fan base. And I think, I don't know if I want to go on meta, but I think that's maybe the NBA's problem is that they need more rabid fan bases. They do. They do.
Yeah,
they don't have enough of them. You have them in football. You don't have them in basketball.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the next comparison, and one of my writers wanted me to ask you this, is, in your opinion, why do you think some people believe that college basketball is a way better product than NBA? Is it maybe because of those fan bases that you have, just because it's just the loyalty aspect of it, regardless if the team's good or not? You just have that going?
99% of people root for teams. Like, that's really how it is. Like, they want to root for a team. Like, we all love. Like, how many LeBron James are walking through the NBA? You know what I mean? Right? Yeah. And like, LeBron James fans will follow him to the end of time. Like, they'll follow him to hell. But, like, that's one guy. Like, I even think if you're talking about Steph Curry and the Warriors, if Steph, God forbid, knock on wood, he goes to the Charlotte Hornets next season or 2 years from now when he's a free agent, Warriors fans are going to be Warriors fans. Look, I'll like the Hornets. I'll watch them. They'll be my second favorite team. But like we'll still remain a Warriors fans. But I think that's just how sports is. Now, to combat your point, I do think college sports. I'm not a fan. I actually think college football is fine. Like I enjoy watching college football. College basketball is rough. It's rough.
What? Talk to me about that. What about it for you is rough?
I probably should answer your question first about why about why kind of about why people like college basketball more. I do think it's a fan perspective. Like most Cal fans, people went to Cal, right? Like they went to Cal. Yeah. And there's a huge amount of people like Alabama. People went to Alabama, but also like I think here's the thing: the South is different. Yeah, like it's just like the South is like they're just different. Like and my buddy who like he went back, but he went to Georgia, University of Georgia. And he said every Sunday would be like prom or whatever. Like it'd be like homecoming. Like people, like the women would wear dresses. The guys would be like shotgunning beers at 4 a.m. all the way until 4 a.m. You know what I mean? Like it would be just a whole rager every weekend, like just no matter what. And like I didn't go to Berkeley, right? And Berkeley's probably the number one like sport, like Berkeley, UCLA, USC in California. Like those are probably the 3 ones. Like I don't know, I could be wrong here, but like. I don't even think you get that like out here. Maybe UFC's prime, right? Like UFC's prime. My Cal knowledge goes to like I think Deshaun Jackson. That was when I loved. Yeah. Like Deshaun and who's the quarterback that blew the fucking game? Kevin Riley. Yeah, fuck him. He was terrible. He blew the chance. Like that's what I think of when I think of Cal football, right? But like that's what I think of as the peak. And I think it's just that, man. Like people love teams. People want to root for something, and I think the NBA, their problem is they want to act like most fans root for these players. And I'm going to be real with you. Like if you want people to care about the sport, they want to root for teams. They don't want to root for players.
Yeah, I totally. I think your point's valid because it's one of those things where I think you want your loyalty to like a thing more than a person to be rewarded. Like you want to root for that team even through the bad, and it comes out and you get to the good side of it. You don't want to just follow a team. I guess in a way you don't want to be a glory hunter, right? Like you don't like LeBron's the best player of this generation. You don't want to follow him and just be like, yeah, I rooted for LeBron when he was on the Cavs and he finally got that championship. I rooted for him when he was at the Heat. He got that championship. Like, like for Cal fans, I think the same thing is like we're part of this fan base. We haven't won a Rose Bowl or gotten a Rose Bowl in 50 years. The moment we get to that Rose Bowl, is going to be the elation of even getting to the Rose Bowl after 50 years of waiting. Like that's the payoff.
That's like being a Giants fan and a Warriors fan. I saw our first title, or their first title, in how many decades, right? With the Giants, it was like 50 years. With the Warriors, it was like, what, 70s? And like that didn't even count damn near. Like, it's the 70s. It damn near might have been 100 years, right? Like, that's the type of joy that you get. Whereas, like, I think the problem with the Lakers right now is that nobody cares about the Lakers outside of Lakers fans.
Yeah.
Like, it's just Lakers fans. Nobody hates them and nobody loves them. And I think that's the problem with the Warriors. It's like, well, people hate them. People hated that team, right? Hated them. But they also loved them. And like that in the Miami Heat. Like, this is not a LeBron. Like, Miami Heat. People love that team. People hated that team. Hated them, right? Like, that's what generates what people like. Or like, that's the passion with the fan base, right? And I think that's the same thing really across every sport. You need a villain and you need a team that's willing to do that. With the Lakers, it's like, cool, like, LeBron, yay, we're in LA.
They're a fun team, but that's about it.
Yeah, and also they're born to watch, so it's like it's a kind of a double whammy. They get great ratings, but it should be better for who it is. You got the greatest player of this generation on the number one franchise in the entire NBA ever. You should be doing ridiculous numbers, and they're not. And I think that comes back to like people just want to root for teams. I don't even think that's a bad thing. Like it is what it is. You can't. How are you going to change the mindset of people? I do think like there are people that take it too seriously, right? Like you could be too serious in rooting for a team. Like you just get really depressed after a loss, stuff like that. You don't need to take it too seriously, but maybe that's just the West Coast of me that feels that way.
I think you're right. I think the West Coast of me is like, oh, we lost the game. All right, move on. I mean, for me as a Laker fan, and this is probably just because I feel so entitled as a Lakers fan, seeing all those championships and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, regular season, not a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the same case across the board for, I think, all NBA teams. It's like, if you're really vying for a championship, does a regular season loss to the Denver Nuggets like really mean anything to you if you're going to still secure a top 3 seed, in your conference? Like that's what you're really vying for, right? So I think your point's totally valid. But I think that's enough of like sports and talk, even though we're a sports podcast. But we're not here. We're not here to talk about sports. We're going to talk about other stuff, man. You and I have a great affinity for all things Korean music, Korean dramas. That's kind of how I acted on Twitter and all that. But let me walk me through it. Like, when did it start? What was the tipping point for you to fall into this dark abyss that you will never ever get out of ever again?
Never. So my friends make fun of me. They're like, "You're going through this phase right now." I tell them, "Believe me, I don't think it's a phase." I hope this connects with the listeners, man. I hope they enjoy this. But no, I'm 29 years old, and most people go through a Korean phase when they're like in high school, right? Like not a Korean phase, K-pop phase when they're like in high school, right? So I went through that for like just a little bit, not that much. Like listen to a little Big Bang, at some Taeyang in there. Everybody knew Wedding Dress, and so like. Listen to some of that, the girls like that. So I listened to it a little bit, but didn't like the K-dramas. Always been a rom-com guy, but like wasn't a Boys Over Flowers guy. Honestly, I don't even like that show. I watched the first episode like about half a year ago. Didn't like it.
No, it's a bit over
some
the
of
top.
It's kind of and a bit. I also don't like Lee Min Ho. I think he's just like, dude, like, come on. I don't get it. I don't get it. But somewhere along the lines, I came across Crash Landing is really what it was. Like, I'm not a subtitles guy. I'm a huge rom-com guy. Wasn't too big of a foreign film or show guy, but Crash Landing popped up on Netflix one day, and I watched it. The first episode, and I was just like, damn.
It got you.
It got me. And I rewatched it, about a couple months ago with my girlfriend, and I was just like, God. Like, I really? Like, it's so corny. It's so over the top. It's the people are beautiful, so it's incredibly unrealistic. Everything is just absurd. But like that's what got me into it. And then when that happened, I don't even know. I'm gonna tell you right now. I don't even know when the IU stuff happened. Like it just popped out of nowhere. Like I think like a song just popped up.
It was just always in you. Like you just awakened it. It was just there.
It just one day it just like sprouted, right? Like I don't even know what happened, but like I must have heard her song or like nobody introduced me to her. It just popped up, and I remember it was what was the song? It wasn't Good Day. I think it was one of the Blooming songs. It might have been Blooming.
Yeah.
That because it's just so poppy, it's just so upbeat, which is like IU does so much different, like so many different styles, which is like I don't even think that's my favorite style of what she does, but like ever since that started. This was December of 2019, I want to say.
Right.
So around that area.
Yeah.
Was when I got started into it. And then here's the thing that really set it off. COVID. Right? COVID is what really set it off. I had nothing to do. Like, I wasn't going to happy hour. I wasn't going to raves. So I just consumed K-drama and IU music. And, like, that's really how it got started, man. Like, COVID really set this thing just straight rocket ship to where I am today, where we just DM each other all day talking about this stuff.
Yeah, I mean it was one of those like SpongeBob memes, just like 1 year later, and you're just like no sleep, just like K-pop, everything all over the computer, everywhere.
Can I tell you? So there's 2 IU K-dramas that I watched that I didn't sleep. It was on a work day, and I slept at 5 a.m. and I woke up at 8 a.m. It was a 50 episode K-drama with IU. It was like You're the Best.
The family drama.
So it was like one of those dramas that it's like on CBS during like a daytime soap, right? Yeah. And I remember watching. I was like, gee, what am I doing? So I watched all of that in like a week. It was absurd. And then I watched My Mister, which is my favorite K-drama of all time. It's not a rom-com, and I finished that in 2 days.
2 days.
2 days. Weekdays too. Just disgusting behavior. And then I rewatched it 2 weeks after.
Oh my god. 2 weeks after? I mean,
great show.
I mean, I'm Korean and I don't do that. Like that's incredible. That's dedication. I mean, I gotta say that's dedication. That's for people that don't know, like these episodes don't have commercial breaks. These are like hour 15, hour 20-minute long episodes. You're binge watching them over a 2-day span, and then 2 weeks later, I'm like, you know what? I'm back in it. I'm back in it for another 16 to 18 hours.
And you've watched it. It's a depressing show.
It is. It's not. It's a dark drama. Like it's not one of those. I mean, it's definitely not a rom-com because you say that you're a rom-com guy. That's not a rom-com. That's into the dark, like gloomy sections of dramas.
Well, I was learning about Korean culture back then, and I didn't know that. I was pleasantly surprised that IU was a singer and an actress. So I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like she could do both. In my opinion, I think she's a terrific actress. And when I started watching more dramas, I'm like, oh, every singer is an actress, and like a lot of them are good.
Yeah.
A lot of them were good. I always talk to you about, hopefully I'm saying her name right, Sejong.
Yeah.
She's amazing. She's fantastic. And so I'm just sitting here like, and then now, I've gotten to the point, Rob, where I'm a little disillusioned. I'm a little like, man, I feel bad for them. Like, it's like a factory. They're just churning out these girls and dudes, right, where they just got to do all this stuff. So now I'm that point of my Korean
You're stepping up onto the soapbox. Like you've got the first foot on. You're about to reach that where you're going to be the champion of justice, against this factory of corporations just churning out Korean musical and
right.
talent.
Right. It just like, I think of these girl groups, and you've got some like, and I'm more of a girl group guy than a guy group guy, obviously. And sometimes you're just like, you see the ones that fail, you see the ones that don't do well, and they spend their life savings on it, and I just feel bad, and I'm just like deeply in it, and I'm just like learning about this stuff, and I'm like, damn, I'm sad. You're
like involved at like an emotional level, like personally with them, without like anything else. Like you're like it's like a Warriors fan who's like invested in like, oh my God, Steph ate at that restaurant. He shouldn't have eaten at that restaurant. Like that's not a place to eat. It's that's the same dichotomy. Like you're like, oh, she signed with the wrong company, man. She signed with the wrong company. She should have actually went to this place instead. That's a bad career move.
You're sounding like someone that knows what I am, because I always tell my one Korean friend, like, I only have, like, there's not many Koreans in the Bay Area. Like, it's more of a SoCal thing.
Yeah.
And she's from SoCal. Mm-hmm. And, but she's moved up here, and I was telling her, like, because she was like, oh, you love all this stuff? She was like, I don't even like all this stuff. So I was like, yeah, like, I'm an IU netizen. And she literally looked at me dead in the face and say, do not say you are a netizen. That is some sick behavior.
I mean, people don't know this. Like, we've DM'd about this, like, between you and me, and I've honorably knighted you a Korean after you said that word to me. I was like, you've gone yourself so far into the weeds if you know what that word means.
So deep, so far. Like, there are these fan cafes that I've learned now that people join. Yeah. Like the Korean the K-pop culture is insane. Yeah. It's insane. But it's like the passion. It's like with sports, right? You've got just people that are just passionate about this stuff. I love it, man. Like that's passion. The passion and people. I never get mad when people get mad at like Steve Kerr or Steph Curry or Draymond. Or like maybe for you, it's like you've got people that are mad at the coach or whoever because they're not recruiting good enough players, right? Yeah. I know Cal football has been down a little bit. Like for me, it's like I love that stuff. Like I want people to be mad, right? Like you want your fan base to be mad, or you want them to be happy, whichever one, because that's what people care about the most.
So, who are you mad at right now? Let's put the lens of like K-pop, K-drama stuff. Like, who are you mad at?
I can't find a good show lately. Like
so you're mad at the industry as a whole. Like it's there now
as a whole. Like Vincenzo is the new one,
right?
It's got the dude from Descendants of the Sun, which is one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. Not a good show.
Oh, really? You're not invested? I am fully invested into that show.
Fully?
Yeah, I am fully invested. It's just not. Wow.
So
okay.
There's this. You're gonna have to help me out here because it seems like this is a K-drama thing. They try to break up a very serious show or very serious story by making like weird jokes or like weird moments where it's just like
like comedic relief moments. Yep. Yeah.
Not a fan.
But I think a part of that too is. So I've had this conversation with someone else about Korean shows in particular, like on Netflix and whatnot, and even movies. And I think the biggest thing here is that those shows I think aren't catered to like the Western audience, which in my view I actually love because they're staying true to like the humor and everything that's definitely more Korean and is more understandable in Korean, and more if you understand the language and the culture, like you get those jokes more. But there's definitely something lost in translation with those comedic moments. Like for me, like those comedic moments in Vincenzo, I love. Like I think they're hilarious. But I can see there are certain ones that come to mind right now where it's like, you know what, that wouldn't make sense to outside Korean culture people, like that don't understand why this is a joke. Right.
I think that's really a big one for me. Is I just don't I've had a few people. You were the first one to tell me that, and I really had to sit back and was just like, you know. And the thing is, I've met a lot of people just off of my K-drama tweets, and so I just made friends, like a few, like 2 or 3, where they just explained to me this stuff. Yeah. And I'm just like, I don't know, man. I'm good. I don't get it. You know, Sisyphus is another good one. I know Park Shin-hye. She's awesome. She actually grew on me.
She's one of those that doesn't hit you right away. But you watch her acting and you watch her shows, you're like, all right, I get why. I get why.
She had a few good movies that came out. She was awesome in. It was like this year or like last year. That one's good. The Koreans love time travel. Everyone loves time travel, I feel like. Yeah. But, you know, they love time travel.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's also because the Koreans have outgrown some of the tropes that are now like being put into like Hollywood and those types of like,
what do you mean?
Sad. So like, you know, back in the 90s, in the early 2000s, is like Korean dramas were like hell-bent on using memory loss, terminal diseases, a lot of those like mysteries behind like their birth, like who their actually birth parents are, like, and all that, like, you know, they were cast aside as they were born, a mom died, and, you know, like those types of story tropes. But I think they've done it so much that they've kind of veered away from it. Whereas I think not just Americans, but I think Western cultures is starting to realize that's what works. That's what draws people. And you're like seeing stuff that you saw like on
interesting.
What are those like noontime dramas you see on like CBS and ABC, like General Hospital,
right? Like
Days of Our Lives.
Yeah.
You see some of those aspects of it like seeping into primetime, which in my opinion, like the biggest like one I can think of is like Grey's Anatomy. Just the absurdity of some of the things that happens in that show. And I think you have to attribute that to a lot of what, you know, Korean dramas did and bring it in. And you see it now too, like with The Good Doctor on ABC, like that's a Korean show that they bought the scenario off of.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, I highly recommend they do
love doctor shows, by the way.
They do. They love the doctors, the lawyer shows, the cop shows, like the very job specific shows.
Yeah, that's an Asian thing, yo. You know what I mean? Like with the Chinese, like I watch Chinese movies because I love action, and the Chinese I watch Hong Kong movies, and like 99% of them are just cop movies,
right?
And like
Police Story.
It's
one
all
through
it is.
what? One through infinity?
Yeah, no. Well, I watch. Yeah, I can't do shows like TVB. Like that's like what my mom watches, right? But like, they've gotten to a point where like the Americans haven't hit this point yet, and I think they will. Is that the cop shows are just, it's all depressing as hell. Like it's not really revenge. It's just a depressing storyline.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the U.S. are ready for it. I don't know if the Americans are ready for it. It's it's just depressing. Like I watch some of them sometimes. I'm like, Jesus, why did I just watch 2 hours? And Andy Lau kills himself in the end, and I'm just like, this is miserable. No, but I think I forget what we were talking about already. But I also think with K-dramas, I'm very simple. I'm a simple guy. I root for the main guy and the main girl to get together. And I know, like, they probably will, but, like, what annoyed me the most last year, and I just have this, like, I just need to get it off my chest, I just still feel Itaewon Class had the worst TV ending I've ever seen. And I feel like people that don't even watch K-dramas watch this one, because Itaewon Class was huge when it came out. So I'm still mad. It's the event.
That's the hill you're dying on, is that Itaewon Class's finale was just not good.
Could you not agree?
I don't think it was great either. I mean, the rest of the drama was just so strong.
It was.
That I think at the end they're like, how the hell do we wrap this up? Like,
that's another K-drama problem, isn't it?
Yeah. I think what that so here's the thing, right? is would you rather have a bad ending like that, or would you rather have like a situation like Lost, where it's just like they did so well, they're like, all right, let's make that second season, let's leave everyone on a cliffhanger, and then you just kick the can down the road, right? You're gonna have to wrap this up at some point.
Well, the Koreans do like the 16 episode stuff. I think it's genius.
Yeah,
like I think it's genius. Like I don't need more than like one season.
Yeah,
like I don't think anything needs more than one season. You should be able to tell it in 16 episodes, and each episode being an hour and a half, right? Like
yeah.
But I also think like a lot of these K-dramas start so strong. Like Itaewon Class had like really. Here's why I'm so mad about it. It really had one of the best like 10 episode starts that I've ever seen.
Yeah,
like it was incredible.
Yeah, the build-ups, the tropes, the characters, all solid. But that also is part of the reason is because the foundation of where it came from, right, which is a webtoon, was just spectacular. Like the stuff that they had already, you didn't really need to do much, because that's why people loved it so much, was because the original writing in the webtoon with the characters were just so captivating that all you needed to do was translate the script of the webtoons and make it a little bit longer into a drama format.
Yeah,
and, it translated perfectly, and they, casting wise, they did an outstanding job.
Yeah, I mean, it's socioeconomic themes, right? A lot of it, the rich and the poor. I mean, I see that as a huge one in Korean dramas.
Yeah.
And they always do. I like, that's another trope that sometimes I'm in on, sometimes I'm not, because it's usually like a rich dude, right? Chai bo or something. I don't know.
You're good. You're close. You're close. All right.
A rich asshole. Like, I'm good off of that. Like, it's maybe in 2009, but it is 2021.
Yeah.
No, but I'm a big. I'd still watch a lot. I guess my gripe is I can't find a good one right now that's running every week. I can't find a good one, so I'll keep working on that though.
We're driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search. Match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Yeah, you named the ones that I'm watching right now, which is Sisyphus, which I haven't really started yet. I've watched the first episode and I'm like, okay, this is good. Store, because I'm currently currently invested in Vincenzo, so I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna keep rolling with that. 2 episodes a week, every Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
And just roll with that, and let's see where that goes.
Netflix is doing a good job too with the weekly episodes. Like, I don't know. I'm sometimes I watch these shows and I'm watching like 4 episodes a day.
So here's the thing that I think a lot of people don't understand is the reason they do like the 1 episode like a day drops on Netflix is because they air in Korea on those specific days. So it doesn't go up on Netflix until after it's aired in Korea. So that's why it's like Saturday when you wake up, or like wake up on Saturday here, it would have already aired the day before because Korea's a day ahead, right? So as soon as it airs, it goes up on quote unquote international Netflix, and that's when you get it. Same on Sundays. So that's why it's like most Korean dramas are on 2-day rotations, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday is usually for like set aside as one-offs type shows or dramas, and then Saturday, Sunday, and that's how the rotation goes.
I will say I was waiting for Crash Landing to come on at midnight, and it didn't come on at midnight. Yeah. I was waiting a minute, but it would come on at like 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. or something like that, and I was just on pins and needles, just waiting for that baby to come out with one of the longest television endings I've ever seen. I think that thing was like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous. But
everyone wanted it. Everyone wanted like a good ending, which that's one of the like most recent ones where I was like, I think you and I both agree. It's one of the ones where the ending was just like, that was a good ending. But then at the same time, there were scenes in that ending where you're like, wait, they could have ended it there. Wait, it's still going? Like we're going to Switzerland? Like it didn't end? And then now we're like
I mean, if you watch Uncanny Counter, the ending was the same way.
Yeah.
Like which was a recent one. And like I honestly thought they could have ended it like 20 minutes in. Yeah. But like it lasted another 45. Look, honestly, it might have lasted another hour. Yeah. And I was just sitting there like, this is good. I like it. It's good. Like, it's fine. It didn't ruin the ending for me. But like, do we need all this? Like that. Like that's the thing. And that's where like I thought Descendants of the Sun. That's another famous one. That's in my top 5. I thought they did a fantastic job. Startup is also in my top 5. That one just came out like a month, or just ended like a month or so ago. I thought they did a fantastic job ending that, in my opinion. And I know a lot of people, I don't know how close your followers follow it, but like that thing blew up online, right? Like that thing, that show was everybody was on one side versus the other. I thought they did a great job ending that one. So yeah, it is hard to finish something that you start. Like I think like Memories of Alhambra, that's another one where I think it was like fantastic first like 8 episodes, and then it just kind of goes down the drain a little bit. But like the top ones I think are good. They do a good job ending those things.
I think you got to. There's so many people watching that show. There's like, if you don't wrap it up right, like you're gonna get those netizens on you on the message boards. And your life is done.
You saw the startup commentary, right? They had like they people were writing think pieces and essays on Dosan not being the right person because he's like an asshole. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna tell you, I was consuming it. I was reading it, you know. I was angry, you know, but I understood the way that they ended that show. It was good.
It's funny because when you go and read those boards and stuff, they kind of look like a sports comment section where they're like, he should have played. He ran the wrong play here. Like, why isn't this guy in the lineup? It's exactly the same type of conversation that you see in those message boards and those comments.
It's the same thing when you're talking about kind of like the Cal football team. It's like you know like what type of recruit are we getting? Yeah. Like who should be playing inside linebacker today? Why is this like it's I love it. I think it's great. I think it's awesome because you need people to be passionate. That's sports. That's entertainment.
Yeah, you get the creativity too. And I'm not sure if the coaches or any of the players actually read those things. I hope they don't. But
they do. Oh, they do. Believe me. Yeah, the players do. Even professional. Like think of it this way: if professional athletes do it.
Oh yeah,
amateur athletes definitely do.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. All right, let's. I got a question for you that I had in the rundown. And I don't know if you had time to look over it, but since we're on this topic, we're gonna give our top 5. They don't necessarily have to be in a specific order. Let's just say they're equal. Okay, just to make it a little bit easy on the both of us.
Yeah.
Top 5 K-pop moments in your mind. And what that means is it could be the first time you heard a specific song, this album drop, a YouTube suggestion that you just happened to click on, anything across the board, like your personal moments that happened to you.
All right. So I am not – okay, we'll start here. I'm not going to go for the story for each one because it might take an hour. But we'll start with IU. I think the first time I heard – because one of my favorite songs is Love Poem.
Yeah.
Actually, it might be my favorite. It might actually be my favorite song. Heard it live. I mean, on YouTube. But I heard it live, right? And it was incredible. She actually did it was in you've probably seen it. It was in like a studio.
Yeah.
It was like pretty
I think I know
recent.
what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's not the Love Poem concert.
Yeah.
The tour. I mean, but that was like one of the top ones where she just like sometimes it feels like when you're listening to her, like she's crying or you're crying or both of you. You know, like it's just that good.
Yeah.
That's number 1.
Oh man, number 1. That's number 1. Okay. I think for me, let's see. I think for me is when I got to college, and then right when I started college is when Girls' Generation dropped. Oh. And that was a game changer because they're all the same age, mostly the same age as us, right? Like somewhere in between like the 28 to like 32 age range. Like that's
right.
So it's like as a like as a 19-year-old, 18-year-old kid, you're like, wow, there are people that look like that are my age. It's just eye-opening. And I think that's for me is when like I was like, oh wow, okay. Girls group, I get why people fell for girl groups. I totally get it.
It all makes sense.
Everything clicked. The universe just like, everything aligned in the universe.
I have, by the way, I have a girls group for you. I have a story. It's in my top 5 somewhere, but that's a good one.
Yeah.
And why you said that, I'll bring it back because that IU one was a current one, and honestly, like I think she's just like she makes music in K-pop that's not really K-pop. Like it's not what people think of what K-pop is, in my opinion. And that's how I feel. It's like she's not Blackpink, she's not Twice, she's not. And I love Twice, but she's not some of these groups that kind of make music where I just call it. It's just really it's a little bit sexual, and it's just like IU doesn't do that.
I think she's definitely what you would really say is a musician. Like she's genuinely a musician first, versus like an act. Yeah, and that's
I feel Blackpink is like it's just like they go out there like it's a show.
Yeah,
like you're not listening to their songs. For the songs, you're listening it because of
the performance. And all of it. Yeah.
Number 2 for me probably Wedding Dress. I mean, it's every even for like wedding dress when it came out. So two like versions. Like Wedding Dress when it came out, and so I was in high school. Everybody was doing the dance, like the fucking dance. Like people can't see, but I'm like doing the dance. And then Wedding Dress, a Korean like 19-year-old DJ like a couple years ago put together a Wedding Dress mashup with a 7 Lion song, called "Rush Over Me," which is EDM. I love EDM, and they put those 2 songs together in a mashup. And when I heard it, I literally said, "Holy shit!" So I saw him at like some random rave one time, and they had it played, and I was just like, "Yo." So that's like another one where it's just like, well, okay, so it's my 2 worlds colliding. I love EDM, I love K-pop. Like those are the 2 big ones for me, and so that's probably like it's in the top 5. I don't know where it is, but it's in the top 5.
Okay, all right. Let's see. My number 2. I have more girl group ones, but I'm gonna veer a little bit differently. I think for me, number 2 would probably be the emergence of Korean hip hop. Like I'm a big like hip hop guy. That's what I listened to growing up too. But when Korean hip hop like really hit the mainstream with the emergence of AOMG and Jay Park and Simon D and all those guys, I was like, man, we have music that can sound like this, like sound like real American top 100 type hip hop. And I was like, man, I'm blown away by the talent of these guys. But I know you're not a big hip hop guy, but for me it was just if Mark Kim is listening to this, which I think he will at some point. He is nodding his head in agreement with me. It's just that emergence of that over like the last 10 years.
That's where because you sometimes send me some stuff and I'm just I don't know. It's a little bit too much for me. I was just listening to Shiny or Shiny today. Shiny because they were on IU's vlog or so of course or channel. So I was like, of course I gotta listen to them. I was like, oh, this is pretty good. Like they're not really hip hop. At least some of their new stuff.
Yeah, it's like very poppy.
Album. Yeah, so I liked it. I enjoyed it. But honestly, on that hip hop point, on the kind of the upbeat stuff and girl groups, like number 3 probably when I first heard Twice's "I Can't Stop Me," and I was just like, God damn. Like, this shit is fucking catchy. You know what I mean? I just remember thinking, oh God. And I think I listened to it like a million times in like a day, like just straight through.
Oh man. That's
the thing about K-pop, right? Like it's so addicting. It's just they put it on. They have the start. Like it didn't sound like they write their own music. I don't know, but then they've got like the rap. They've got the rapper of the group.
Yeah.
Then they've got like the vocalizer. They've got the leader of the group. I always think that stuff is kind of funny where they kind of like.
They got the dancer. They got the funny one on shows. Like everyone has their role.
Their role, and it's like I don't know if it's real or not. But Twice is one of my favorites just because they got 3 Japanese chicks and then they got a girl from Taiwan. So they're like. I don't know if I should say diverse, but from a perspective of Korean pop, they are diverse.
It's definitely intentional, right? It's definitely like when we go to Japan or when we go to Taiwan or when we go to Korea, like there are going to be hitters in terms of like
Right.
talking and the people that, or the specific members that people of those specific countries will like, and it'll carve them a path into that country a lot easier because you have those.
Yeah, it's
those
like Lisa,
nationalities,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like she really just blows it all up. Yeah, I think that's I fell in love with Twice off of it, and their vlogs are hilarious. Like that's probably another one I could probably throw up there. It's just like you just the rabbit hole you talked about earlier is just it's just vast. YouTube is a deep hole of
It's a dark place.
it's a dark place of just all of a sudden I'm watching live performances and then I'm watching them on shows. It's just like, and it's 2 a.m.
All right. My number 3, I'm gonna go throwback here. Is for me, it's when Sistar came out.
Oh,
Because
Star, yeah.
because I think for their music, it's like the perfect summer music. It's like they come out every summer, like that was their thing until they disbanded. But it was every summer. Their music's out, and it just is one of those songs that you always hear at beaches, like outdoor spots. It's just like one of those things, and they're freaking catchy, so freaking catchy. I think that's where it started too, with like for you with Twice. Like for me, it was the Sistar songs that just got me like, and then I know most Asian guys that were in that K-pop phase, for them was like when Sistar 19 first dropped, it was just like that was a game changer for them.
Yeah.
Right. That was the moment.
Yeah, it was and like it's a factory. That's what I keep saying. It's like they just churn them out. I saw today that they had like a K-pop university or something.
What?
Like were they're like, yeah, I saw it was on like my favorite Twitter account, all K-pop. Or something.
All
And they had
K-pop.
like
Shout out to all K-pop.
Yeah, they had like a K-pop university where they just like, oh, we just had our first girl group that we've like graduated, and I'm just like, holy shit, yeah, like this is insane. So it's just it's nuts, man. It's nuts. It's nuts. I think for me, one of the biggest moments too is probably OSTs. Like K-pop moment would be OSTs.
Yeah.
Like 90% of my playlist is OSTs. So it's like Ailee or Ailee, right? IU's on some of them. She's on Crash Landing soundtrack. Davichi, right?
Classic.
It's just like where I started learning about these artists. And I'm just like, oh, like Yoonji is one of my favorites. She's from A-Pink. She's actually might be my favorite. She's an incredible voice. And just like you just hear them on OSTs, and I'm just over here Shazamming. You know, the OSTs going on. Like that's probably like that's how I like really, really got into it. And here's the thing, like OSTs is not the same as like music that normal bands push out.
Yeah. It's not. It's
like totally different.
Yeah, I mean it's geared towards whatever you're watching, right? Because it has to fit in with the drama.
You're not playing. You're not playing. You're not playing. This is what's a Blackpink song? I was trying to name a Blackpink song. Like whatever. You're not playing a Blackpink song during an OST. You're not.
Yeah. I mean, you might get it as background music if they're like at a club or something in that specific scene.
Like at a sports game, like How You Like It is what I was thinking. Like
they
played How You Like It at a sport, like out like cutting into a commercial. And I'm like,
Yeah, you ain't getting that. But damn, that's a good one. OSTs are classic. Holy crap. Yeah, I wasn't even thinking of that. I think the next one for me, the biggest thing is, I mean, this is gonna sound like super like Korea pride and all that, but when it started hitting the mainstream, like just overall, when you started hearing it at like restaurants or like when you're out shopping and like, you know, those stores are playing it just in the background music of the store.
Right.
That's the moment where you're like, holy crap, like this is not just like a me thing or a Korea Pearson thing. Like this is like people definitely are enjoying this music across the board. Like realistically, when people told me that like BTS was blowing up, I was like, yeah, it's probably one of those Psy things. Like, you know, just a 1 year one-off, you know, Psy's, Gangnam Style. Like this is the Gangnam Style for like boy bands, but like it hasn't. Like, it has not stopped, and that's like crazy to me. Just to like go out and like you'll hear BTS songs just playing in Korean. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm here for it.
I think I see. I don't feel that obviously because I'm Chinese, so it doesn't hit the same. I think it's also like the music that goes mainstream that is just not the music the Korean music that I like is not mainstream. Right? Like outside of the OST stuff, like I don't listen to Blackpink that much. I don't listen to BTS. Like I don't really care about BTS. Like Gangnam Style didn't like that song. Like that type of K-pop is not the one I like. Like I like Davichi. Like when Davichi comes out, it's all like when she's on an OST, like that's my stuff, right? So So I think for me, like that's like kind of the difference is as you know, it's like kind of the softer. Like I like the acoustic. Like Yoonji will do like live acoustic, like singing, and I'm just like that's my stuff. Like same with IU, where it's just like super mellow. No idea what they're saying, but I feel like I kind of know what they're saying. So really, that's
at this point, I think you can kind of like take a stab at like what could this song possibly be talking about, and you're probably like 90% right.
It's like I'll do it while running. Really, that's like the crazy part. It's like K-pop is so like it's so the stuff that I used to do is like soothing, right? So it's like hey, it could be depressing lyrics. I wouldn't know.
I'm super curious as how you can run to that stuff because that's like sad stuff.
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't know what's being said.
Oh shoot! All right. I mean, let me ask you a follow up to that then. When you listen to that type of Korean music, are you one of those guys that just like listens to the music, or do the certain like moments of like the music video or like the show, like does the image pop in your mind as soon as you're like the intro kicks in, you're like, oh, that's that scene, like that's there.
I mean, come on, 100%. That's a great question. 100%. Like again, like the songs I listen to all from shows, right? So like I'll know, like I think Startup has one of the best like OSTs that I've ever heard. Like it's just hitter after hitter, like every song, and they've also got like an all-star cast on that thing, and so like I think of that immediately. Also, can we talk about how like there are songs like that, there are like Korean agencies that are just feuding with Spotify, so that now I have to subscribe to both Apple and Spotify to get my fill. Like it just hurts. Like I can't listen to IU A-Pink because like because they're not on Spotify. Yeah. It hurts.
I know Andy, you were upset with that, and like we were texting about it. It was just like I was like looking. I had like when the moment you said that, like I looked up like on the Korean news, like what can I alleviate the pain that Andy is going through, like with any insider information.
I guess they just still haven't figured it out.
I mean, it's a money thing, so who knows when they'll figure that out? But I'm sure they'll have to at some point. It's too big. It's too big. It's too much. It's too much money. It's too much money involved. Oh man! All right, I think are we on our last one? I think we're on our last one. I think we're on.
Yeah, I think 5. Last one. Yeah, it flew by. So last one for me probably is just, it's just finding the band, like my favorite bands. I think would be like the final one. Like, I think A-Pink is probably my favorite band. They're more old school. That's the thing. Like they're more old. They don't do K-pop like that anymore, in my opinion. You're gonna have to correct me, but like that type of K-pop is just like. I think like when you talk about like tropes that are being overdone, I think that type of K-pop singing has been done. Like that was like early 2010s kind of K-pop.
They came in on like that tail end of that style of like the mid 2000s to the early 2010s.
It's like cutesy, kind of like very soft, like it's like springtime, summertime, leaves falling type of music, you know? It's like that
cherry blossoms in the air falling with the wind.
You know, now I'm thinking of Japan, like, you know, cherry blossoms, but we're talking about different things. Yeah. But like I think that's like that type of like Lovelyz is another one. Like those are my two favorite ones. Like they're kind of similar and they're kind of fading away now. But I just recently got onto like Mamamoo, which is like their voices are incredible. A little bit too strong, but like incredible. Yeah. But I think that's probably the last one. It's just like finding some of the like older K-pop music that I really like. Nowadays, everybody just kind of sounds like it's just so like
it sounds all similar.
Yeah, it's just so but it's like so like it's very loud. It's very strong. It's a lot. And I'm just like I don't know. I know we'll stick to IU. IU's album is coming out in a couple of weeks, so we'll wait for that. Yeah, and hopefully it'll be fantastic.
Well, you'll get it on Apple Music, and not on Spotify.
I'm subscribed. I'm ready.
Oh shoot! All right. Well, I mean, we've been chatting for an hour. I think we chatted about K-pop for like 45 minutes.
really get the people what they want.
Someone's gonna listen to this. They're like, "Oh, I came here for like Andy's takes on like the Warriors, or maybe his takes on like Cal basketball, and his light years version of Cal basketball." But no, we're not here for that. At least not today. Today is merely just for our pure enjoyment.
Yes.
Of talking about this and recording this.
I love that. Yeah, that's if you want the Warrior stuff, you can always go to Light Years Podcast, or you can come back. Either way, I'm good with it.
Well, Andy, there's one section that we do at the very end, which we call the Victory Cannon, right? And it's something that we've started up just a couple weeks ago, where we basically tell our listeners, like, hey, this is what I'm reading, this is what I'm listening to, this is where I'm eating, or anything of that sort, that you kind of just want to recommend and throw out into the universe. Do you have anything that you want to fire out of the Victory Cannon for this week?
Oh man, this is anything. Like, you could ask me for a specific restaurant. I could have come prepared with that. Specific show, a specific DJ. I always thinking about talking about that. But here's what I go with.
Okay.
I love sunsets. Pretty corny. If you've gotten this far in the podcast, like, you'll know. Like, of course I love sunsets. So I'll talk about a spot that I like. So for people, if you have a girlfriend, boyfriend, or just significant other, or you just want to go on a second date, don't do this on a first date. It's a lot. Maybe third date, right? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
You could do a picnic up on the spot. But great spot. You go up Highway 1, and you pretty much just drive up, and it's on the way to Santa Cruz, right? You're going past God, I can't even remember, but like Oyster House, you're going back a lot of these spots on the way there, towards the Pacifica, and you'll see this kind of and when you pass a tunnel, you just know you'll pass a tunnel from San Francisco. It's about like 30 minutes, so you'll pass a tunnel on Highway 1 on the way to Santa Cruz. Like, that's really all you need to know. Once you pass the tunnel, you'll hit a side of a dirt path, and you look over to the side, and it's just a huge, vast view of the ocean. It's just the ocean, like, just massive.
It's just a drop off.
It's just a drop off, right? It's incredible, and there's a parking lot there, so you'll be able to see the parking lot. But you literally just pull over in the parking lot, park there. And it's just got a view of the entire, I don't even know what ocean it is. Who knows? Pacific, Atlantic, Indian. I have no idea. But it's just an incredible view. You can watch the sunset from there. It's amazing. It sets right in front of you. And if you're living in SF, it's literally only like 30 plus minutes away. So big sunset guy. If you don't want to do all that, I would suggest going to Fort Funston. Another great spot. You go to Fort Funston, just walk around there. Great sunset. Very quiet. Not windy. So there are spots there that you can go to. So that's my Victory Cannon segment for you. Go catch a sunset. Go catch a sunset. And then, so we got daylight saving coming up. Sunsets are going to be at 7 o'clock. You can get off at work.
That is true. That is true. It's almost there. You know what? My Victory Cannon, wasn't even thinking of this, but I'm going to go off of what Andy said. And my Victory Cannon for this is probably the most beautiful Taco Bell in the world. And if you live in the Bay Area, you know exactly which Taco Bell I'm talking about. But certain people in the Bay Area don't know this spot, which is basically on that same route, like down and right in Pacifica. There's that Taco Bell right off the road, like next to a beach. The most the most beautiful place you can drink a Baja Blast, in my opinion. It's just that Taco Bell. It's right there.
So literally, I should have said that. It's like 10 minutes past that.
Yeah,
that's so literally
You get your chalupa or your Mexican pizza. Actually, R.I.P. Mexican pizza. It's no longer at Taco Bell. But you get your drink or whatever you want at Taco Bell. Sit there for a little bit, and then you drive down to Andy's spot to watch the sunset.
There you go.
We have planned out a second date for everyone that lives in the Bay Area. It's done.
Wow, look at us. Look at us.
Look at us.
That's incredible.
That's the meme I'm going to use, or that's the GIF I'm going to use. Just the Paul Rudd. Look at us. Who thought?
Look at us.
Not me.
You just
not me.
Oh man, we did it all. That's great, man. Good stuff.
Shoot. Well, Andy, I appreciate the time. This was super fun. I hope we can do this again. There was actually, sorry, I'm going to backtrack here. There was one question that people wanted me to ask you.
Oh.
There's one question that people wanted me to ask you before we close, and this is from a Cal perspective. how do we get Jaylen Brown on the Warriors? Like
Here's the thing about Jaylen Brown. He, coming out of college, I fought the last time I tracked college basketball was literally when Jaylen Brown played because they had those recruits, right? It was Brown, Rab, Crab.
Yeah.
Was it Crab?
Crab was before, but it was like Wallace, Matthews, Bird.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Jabari Bird.
Jabari Bird. Yeah.
He was supposed to be nice. So really only Jaylen came out of that and ended up being great. The thing about Jaylen Brown is he came out of college into the NBA and really wasn't supposed to be as good as he is today, at least in my opinion. Like, he was kind of a high-risk, like he was drafted high by Boston, and he figured it out, and now he's incredible. Here's the thing about the Warriors. I don't know if the Warriors have that type of development to figure that out with those guys. So really the best way is they got to trade for Jaylen. But the thing about Jaylen in Boston is that Boston never wants to trade those guys unless, like, they're like the Warriors, right? The Warriors don't want to trade Wiseman in the Minnesota pick unless they get Joel Embiid in return. Like, they wouldn't do it for Bradley Beal. Think about Boston, same thing. Like, they're not trading Jaylen Brown unless they're getting, like, Kevin Durant in return. And it's like, dude, it's unrealistic. Like, they had the Brooklyn pick and they wouldn't trade it for anything. And that Brooklyn pick ended up being nothing. It ended up being like Colin Sexton or something like that. So Jaylen Brown by himself is probably like a top 10 trade asset right now. And combined with Boston being a team that just overvalues their players, I got to tell you, I don't know how. I don't know. Even if you offer Clay, Wiseman, Draymond, Minnesota pick, like, I don't even know if Boston would do that. You know, throw him Steph Curry maybe. But Jaylen Brown really is the perfect Warriors player. Like, he's super intelligent on the court, super intelligent off the court. Mm-hmm. Really, the thing with Jaylen Brown is I think he's like genuinely smart off the court. Like, he genuinely knows what he's talking about. Socioeconomic, really social issues. I think a lot of the times, a lot of these NBA players don't really know and they don't say anything, and I think that's completely fair. Same with me. What do I know? Right? And with Jaylen Brown, when he talks, you're like, shit. Like, he is truly probably like one of the smartest NBA like players in the league.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely. So he's an awesome guy, man. Unfortunately, I don't know how it's going to happen.
You heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first. There's no realistic path. Unless he's a free agent and he decides to sign with the Warriors, no realistic path as of right now. But you heard it here. Andy basically wants him as a Warrior. He says he's the best type of Warriors player.
He would be even more so than Jason Tatum, in my opinion. Like, he doesn't need the ball enough, and he just really matured into an off the dribble. His handle is just incredible now for what he was beforehand. I did not see it coming, and really the handle was the part where it didn't make sense. He just didn't have that feel. It seemed like, but now he just.
Well, that and the 3-point shooting, that just out of nowhere. So, well. That's it. That was the last question.
Cool.
I think we closed, but oh well. If you want to listen to more Andy's stuff, you can get it at LightYearsPod, and you can follow him on Twitter as well. Is there any other place, Andy, where they can consume your talking?
If you consume those two, that's really right. I hope you don't consume those more than those two. Really, honestly, you don't even have to follow me. Just if you listen to the podcast, that's really all you do. I appreciate it, Rob, man. You're the man. This is awesome. This has been great. So happy to come back anytime.
Awesome. All right. Thanks again. And as always, go Bears.
We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.